Sin City is the 2005 kick-ass film directed by Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller. Yeah, that Frank Miller. Dark Knight Returns writer Frank Miller. The story is an anthology of different tales here in Sin City with the most noir, grimy-like characters you can think of. Let's be for real for a second. To those who have never read the graphic novel, the biggest draw is the visuals. The whole intention of the film is to make it look shot for shot like the comic, which resulted in a lot of the backgrounds being green screened to capture that feeling. And I'd say for a 20-year-old film, it has aged quite well. So, let's take a look at a scene from Sin City and analyze Sin City's incident control and saturation. In this scene here, I want to talk about the only time in the film where we get to see color in Sin City. And I don't mean color as in hues. Like the use of red being as a way to show lust or blood, or even the hues of blue and green shown on Dwight's face as he drives in the movie. No, more like this scene here where Bruce Willis's character, John Hartigan, encounters the little girl he saved 8 years ago, Nancy Callahan, played by Jessica Alba.
A dead end. Nancy wouldn't have anything to do with a pack of drunks and losers like this. But if there's anything to be found here, the faintest lead to wherever Nancy is or whoever kidnapped her and mutilated her, this is the place.
Excuse me, miss. Wondering if you could help me. Looking for somebody.
Well, a night like this, everybody's looking for somebody stranger.
It's not like that. Her name is Nancy.
Eyes to the stage, Pilgrim. She's just warming up.
Skinny little Nancy Callahan. She grew up. She filled out. Nancy Callahan, 19 years old. And here I was expecting a skinny little bookworm. Maybe a bit too shy for her own good. How little she told me about herself in all her letters. For all those years. How the hell did they find her? Then it hits me. They were bluffing. I've led them straight to her. She hasn't spotted you yet. Turn around and walk out the door. Lead the creep outside. Get that Beretta away from him somehow. And kill him. Just a horny ex-con watching an exotic dancer. Just a few seconds and she'll be safe. No, Nancy. Don't notice me. Don't recognize me. Anybody with iPhones love. There's no time to explain. Made a terrible mistake. Put you in terrible danger. We need to get out of here right this second.
Whatever you say, Hartigan. Let me throw some clothes on.
And here I'd figured you'd forgotten all about me. Me and my dumb letters.
Kept me going. Kept me from killing myself. Hurry up, will you? Maybe I should drive.
Not a chance. Nobody but me can keep this heap running.
If you haven't noticed already, the film's look is completely black and white, just like the graphic novel. However, director Robert Rodriguez talked about how difficult it would be to fully capture that magic of a black and white movie. Because as he points out of a lot of movies that are in black and white, they're technically gray.
Really more gray and white movies. They don't have as much black as we do. I like that style in Frank's book, and I wanted to do that in the movie, so we separated everybody, chose their costumes very carefully, and would use layering in order to separate people from the backgrounds. So when you have someone running through a forest, this would be impossible to keep a constant edge light on them to separate them from the trees. But because we're shooting green screen, I can put him on a treadmill, I can edge light him, creating a very graphic image.
So, he achieved this with the help of green screen background / his full control over the lighting of every scene and how characters should be to create the black and white separation from each other. Which blends to how, pun intended, black and white Sin City is, metaphorically, of the type of lifestyle characters inherit. Going back to our scene, we see the lighting is controlled to where brighter, more so harsh light is being illuminated from Nancy. The lights from above hitting her gives her not only that mesmerizing look at a conventionally attractive Jessica Alba dancing in front of the men of Sin City who would love to get with her. It also shows Nancy as a heaven-sent, innocent-like vibe from Hartigan's point of view, because she was the last bit of hope in his life while he was in prison. What's interesting as well is how Nancy is able to light up the entire room, giving just some small light to other characters at the bar like Marv. Adding on to this double entendre, the only analogy that I can compare the lighting radiating from Nancy is like a star. See, hear me out for a second. Strippers at bars and clubs are treated as stars. I'm talking like I've been to one. Everyone's attention is on the young, hot dancer. With Hartigan, he does the same thing with almost forgetting who she is because of the time gap. But he sees a star radiating because that was his only spark to keep his attention on the positives in his life. One thing to pay attention to is how the saturation disappeared. We still see the harsh light on Nancy as the camera pushes in, showing Hartigan being Nancy's protection like he was when she was 11 years old.
Bringing us back to that dangerous, paranoid world of Sin City.
Fast forwarding towards the end of the clip, we see once the two are together, the lighting begins to soften on the two as they go outside into the cold, shadowy night, where they're fully indulged back into the black and white Sin City, where the lights coming from inside the bar and the street lights is what illuminates them.
Another thing I want to mention as well is that Nancy is the only character that we know in Sin City that is an innocent person or is nowhere around or associated with anybody who is within that crime world. The only person that we know for certain that she has a relationship with is Hartigan. And Hartigan being this ex-cop just shows Nancy's innocence as well as her being more like an angel with the light beaming on top of her, making her feel more like she is the only person without sin in Sin City.
The movie's in black and white. There you go, there's my color analysis. No, for real. Here's how saturation comes into play with this analysis. One thing about Sin City is that there is minimal color. The most recurring hue is red, which is mainly used for blood, chaos, and lust. In this scene here, there are mainly two aspects of saturation being used. First is with the introduction of Nancy. On top of the light aimed from down below, we see around the environment of Nancy, the saturation of the scene showing us different hues compared to black and white, specifically the saturation of neon lights. We see colors like green, red, and even the dirty brown on the walls. Like I said before, Sin City's tone and saturation describes the lifestyle and mentality of the environment. However, when we are introduced to a 19-year-old Nancy, in Hartigan's eyes, a glimmer of humanity arises from Sin City for the first time. Hartigan's light and hope for an action he took years ago makes him look out of that bad guy, bad city mentality, where he can finally see this little girl grow up to have a life. And one thing I also want to mention as well is, sure, Yes, this is not the life that he intended for Nancy to have after saving her, but it's the scene shows us with a bit of hint of color, showing that this entire bar, typically used in crime movies as a very degenerate, dirty place, gives it a bit of life to it, gives it a bit of that sense of warm welcome.
Another thing to add is that the bar is the only location to be fully non-black and white in Sin City. This kind of flips the narrative on these criminals or these more hard-edged characters, with rather it being a place for degeneracy or a place to look behind your back, more of a place of humanizing these characters and giving them more of a safe place, a home more so.
Secondly are the shots of the mysterious yellow man, aka Rourke Jr. The saturation on the yellow is so turned up that at some points it becomes just too ugly to look at as an emphasis point. Considering how black and white Sin City is with crime, a character so abnormally different that makes every other color that is present in the film look like it blends perfectly. It also makes you question how dangerous and inescapable Junior is, considering how every other character, whether good or bad, is mostly placed in black and white. What's worse about this is that Rourke Jr.'s saturation remains consistent throughout the rest of the film, even down to his blood being yellow. This has been my quick visual design analysis on Sin City. It's a very interesting film that I think does a great job of showing multiple examples on controlling the light and green screen to make the tone feel like a jump straight from the material. It also gives me a Max Payne vibe with or without the color. It sets the tone for the entire film from start to finish and uses its saturation to make the audience feel uneasy with the oversaturation of colors like yellow, while a saturated red looks perfect within the world because of its connection to temptations of blood and lust. Hopefully this makes you look at the film in a different perspective, or maybe you feel inspired.